What if you could spend less time selling by having your website sell for you a little more? Today's guest is going to tell us how. Amanda Collins with Ink and Quill Communications is an expert on corporate communications, content marketing, and digital content. She is an in-demand speaker, avid hiker, and Wonder Woman superfan. Amanda, thank you for joining me.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Hi, I'm Emily LaRusch. Are you ready to make the journey from lawyer to entrepreneur? Every week, I'm sitting down with people who have mastered the art of running a business and want to share with you the lessons they've learned along the way. Join me as we experience the highs, the lows, and everything in between as we learn, share, and grow together. Welcome to Share the Love. Amanda, before we get into your area of expertise, I want to know a little bit more about the Wonder Woman of content writing. Why content writing, and why did you decide this is what you'd go into business for?
You know, it's quite funny as a story. I actually fell into it. It was totally a fluke. I had been doing marketing and I fell into that in college admissions and I loved it, and then I got pregnant and I wanted to be a mom and I thought, what can I do that I'm really good at? So in 2006, when my son was born, I launched a company called The Grammar Doctors, which primarily did editing and proofreading. And then as I grew, people said, well, you've been writing resumes since 1996. Why don't you do that? So I incorporated resumes. And then people said, well, you do resumes, you do editing, can you do corporate content? And I said, yes, that's what I did. I did all of those plans. And so that's what I continue to do. And then just this year, in August of 2017, I changed the name to Ink and Quill Communications to better say what we do.
To better position yourself.
Exactly.
So you're not just the resume gal anymore, you're actually...
Not just the editing person.
Got
We do
it.
corporate communications, personal branding, and content marketing now.
So you've been in business over 10 years, so congratulations, because you've already made it further than, what, 50% of businesses?
At least.
So you're there, right?
Right.
You're there. But the journey cannot have been all roses. Tell me about one of your roughest moments.
The worst time was probably when I had the AC turned off. The electricity was turned off in the middle of summer. And I had to go to one of my clients and ask for an advance. And that was a little scary because I've done this all on my own. Within about 2 weeks of me starting my business, my ex-husband left us. So I didn't have the funds. I didn't have somebody else. A lot of entrepreneurs have a partner, and I didn't have that. And so it was a lot of sink or swim, a lot of treading water at the beginning. Luckily, you know, I got the electric turned back on. It hasn't been turned off since, so
Nice.
I'm doing well now.
So did you, when your husband left, did you think at any moment, like, I need to go back to corporate, I need to get a regular job? Did you have a panic moment?
I did, but not initially. Initially, I thought it would do well. Now, keep in mind that this was 2008 that I went full-time. I was still kind of doing it part-time, but 2008 is when I quit my corporate job. Well, what was happening in 2008? The economy fell through. So luckily, I was doing resumes, and that kind of kept me afloat for a while.
Wow.
But it was a challenging time. It wasn't until probably 2010, 2011, I thought, well, my son's in kindergarten now, maybe I can get a part-time job. And I actually did. I worked part-time in my field, and I turned that into one of my clients. So it worked out okay, and it helped to float me along a little bit longer.
So you really are Wonder Woman. I'm like, woo. I don't think I could have done it without the support of my husband, because that kind of is your partner. It's like,
right.
At least if I was going down, he was going with me.
Mm-hmm. You had someone to bounce off.
Yes, and you had a
help.
baby you had to hold up.
Yes, and he wasn't making any money, darn it.
Kids. I tell my kids all the time, you're my Aston Martin, you're my Bentley.
That's
because
right.
The cost of daycare when they're babies, oh my gosh.
Yes.
The cars I could be driving. But the kids are great too. Okay, so you know I'm a super nerd when it comes to business. I love to learn, and lately I've become obsessed about creating a brand that has a heartbeat and a brand with a personality. And coincidentally, I just saw a website that I wanted to ask you about. So
Okay.
I've seen hundreds of websites, and most of them start off features and benefits. They talk, it's I, the firm, the firm, the firm. But this one I saw, this one like yanked my heartstrings. And so on the homepage, it's a video and it's a man, and he says, no one would take my case. No one would help me. I was afraid that I was going to be pulled out of my home at 4 in the morning in front of my children if I didn't get immigration status. And I was like, oh, I need to know more. And then I start scrolling through the website, and right below that, they have Client of the Month. It's a letter from clients who are saying, here's how you help me to live the American dream. And I was like, you don't even need to sell. I want to become
Right.
an immigrant. How do I do it? How do I go through the process? I want to hire you. So I'm so obsessed with how do you convey that, and is it a good idea? How do you make that a part of your marketing strategy?
It's a great idea. It's called storytelling. So a lot of people are transitioning away from information, even education, and going more to storytelling. And those kinds of things. I mean, when do we buy? We buy based on emotion. And going to an attorney, for the most part, unless it's a business attorney, you're really having an emotional experience, especially a divorce and family attorney. I mean, that's a big deal. So when people are dealing with that, they need to know that you care. They like to hear those stories. It doesn't really matter what you're selling, quite honestly. A story is going to sell way more than someone who's just saying, buy my stuff,
Right.
or I can help you. So I think that that person was doing a great job, and more people should do that.
So what would you suggest on a homepage? What's a couple of elements that you think attorneys should be putting on there so that you're capturing people emotionally right from the start?
Right. One of them is definitely the why. People get compelled by a why. You see people all the time who sell insurance. I saw a guy at a networking event who sold life insurance and long-term care insurance, and he told the story of a woman who got stuck because she didn't have it, and her husband had to be in care and she couldn't afford it. That was his why. That's compelling. When I think about life and long-term care insurance, I want to go to him.
Right.
So it's the same thing with an attorney. You should have your why there. Why did you choose to do that? I mean, you could joke and say, well, it's the money, right? But that's not why people do what they do. I mean, we all want to make money, but we do it for a reason. We want to help people, or we want to make a difference in the world. And that why is what differentiates you. So you definitely want to have that. And that also kind of contributes to your USP, or unique selling proposition. So you want to have that on there. Why are you different? Why should someone choose you over someone else? You also want to have a call to action. So having a phone number is great. You do want to have that, but telling people what to do. You have to assume when people come to your website, they're going to spend a max of 5 seconds. So in 5 seconds, you have to tell them what you do, why you're different, and what you want them to do next. And typically that's more than just a phone number. It could be an ebook or a free consultation or something to that extent, but tell them what you want to do. So those are the 3 big things on your front page: your USP, or why you're different, your call to action, and then your, what else did I say?
Ebook.
Ebook,
Information.
Right. Yes, information.
I love that. So you could write, and if you can't write it for yourself, get someone like Amanda to write for you. Put a white page out there, put something out there that's saying, you know, here's a little book on the things you need to know when you're going through a divorce.
Right.
The steps you need to take. And, you know, should there be a call to action within those books? Should it be, now call us for a consult?
Yes, yes. What you want to do, whether it's a book or a blog, they're very similar, or a white paper, you want to be informational to begin with. But at the end, you always want to say, here's the call to action, because those aren't really selling things. Your website sells. Your information that you're giving them is where you're going to share information. And so the way that you usually get that, and the reason that people sign up for it, is they give you your email address. And then you can market to them. But they're not going to just be like, oh, here's my email address, take it and go crazy.
Right.
They'll do it if you give them something of value. And that's what your website has to convey, is the value that you provide.
So provide value. I'm a really big fan of Billy Gina's marketing, and you just reminded me of a funny story that he did when he's evaluating this company trying to sell a pair of jeans on Facebook. And it's the first time they're ever targeting to him. So he's like, this is the first time I've ever heard of you, ever seen you, and it's a pair of jeans. So he's like, don't try and get me in your pants on the first date. Give me something of value. And I love that. And so I remember that always, like, give people the value and they'll come back to you for the business.
That's right.
So I recently saw you presenting on LinkedIn on marketing, and I know that you are a big proponent of social media. And I've also met people who tell me that if you're in the B2B world, you have no business social media. I mean, it doesn't work. Don't do it. It's for consumers.
Right.
It's annoying, and in my gut, I don't feel that's right. What's your take?
Well, you know, social media, everybody does think they should be on it, and it really depends on what you're doing. If you're B2B, primarily LinkedIn is the biggest target there, because that's who's on there, business professionals. If you're B2C, you have lots of choices. It could be Facebook, but if you're a millennial B2C, millennials aren't on Facebook, so you've got to look at Instagram and Twitter and Snapchat. So there are lots of choices. What I find a lot of times is that people will come to me and my firm and say, I want to build a whole platform on, say, Facebook, and I want to grow my business to $1 million business. Facebook is a tactic, it's a strategy, it's not the whole kit and caboodle. So you really need to have something else. Now, can you launch it on Facebook? Of course. You could have a Facebook ad campaign that drives to a website that gives them an ebook, you get their email, and now you're marketing to them.
So what you're saying is diversify.
And integrate.
Got it.
Yep. Don't put all your eggs in one basket, I guess is what I'm saying.
Sound advice.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So now that we know what the most important elements are, what's the best way to put all of this into action and to create a plan?
Well, they can certainly reach out to me if they want to, and I can do a free content marketing blueprint for them to kind of assess where people are. Most of the time I find that people have some of the stuff, and they're doing some of that stuff really well, and other times they're not doing it so well. So just having someone come in and go, yay, you're doing great here, how about bringing this in, can be really helpful. So having an outside perspective. We all walk around with our blinders on, even me. I mean, I'm in the middle of this transition to a new brand, and I haven't written my new website content yet because we all put ourselves last.
The cobbler with no shoes.
Exactly. So, you know, you need to be able to prioritize yourself, and sometimes that means putting someone else in that role for you, or at least learning about it. Read a book. If you don't have the money, sweat equity is just as important. So reading a book about it, or watching a webinar or something to learn what it is that you're missing, and then determining what your strengths are. What I tell people is, I don't do brain surgery. No other writer is doing brain surgery out there. But what we're doing is optimizing your time so that you can do what you do best, and you bring in an expert. We all hire experts when we need them. We hire attorneys, we hire painters and roofers. We could all do a lot of that ourselves, but the smart person uses their time wisely.
Yes, I can't tell you how many business owners that I've talked to. They're of the shortage mentality, I think, where they think, if it can be done and it can be done by me, I need to do it because it doesn't make sense to spend money on something you can do yourself.
Right.
And I think those people give themselves a ceiling. You're not going to go past it because you're limiting yourself, and also you're not an expert. So even though it might be good, it's not great. And I tried to do a lot of it myself and create my own content, and I realized I have no business writing my own white papers. They're terrible. Get an expert.
Well, and sometimes even writers don't write their own stuff because we're so close to it. And it helps to have an outside perspective because we speak jargon. Attorneys are really bad about that. They speak their language. And then to have an outside perspective read that and just be like, oh my gosh, I can't even talk to this person. You need to give them it in their language. And that takes a translator, if you will, which is what a lot of people call me and my writers. We're translators.
I love that. And so I know a lot of attorneys probably writing, they're very technical and looking, you know, they've got credentials, so they may want to talk about credentials, but people don't really care about that. I don't think I've ever talked to someone who made a decision on hiring based on their credentials.
Right.
They want to know, how is this going to change my life?
Yep.
And that's what you write is, let me tell you that story.
Exactly.
Okay.
Storytelling.
Storytelling. I love that. So if you are like me, you don't have the time to sit down and map out a communications plan, Amanda will give you a blueprint, 30-minute review, and help you get a direction. Maybe you do it on your own, maybe you don't. That's up to you. To get your complimentary communications blueprint, email Amanda at iq-communications.com and mention you saw her on Share the Love. And I have got some rapid fire questions for you. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. What is the last movie you saw in the theater?
Well, I'd love to say that was Wonder Woman because that was awesome.
I know.
But the last one I saw was another superhero. I saw Spider-Man Homecoming, which was also quite good.
What is your favorite musical genre?
I love 80s. Even my kiddo loves 80s. We sing it in the car.
Love it. What advice would you give your younger self just starting out?
You know, I almost want to say don't do it because it was so scary at the beginning. But, you know, hang in there. It comes around. And meet Daniel, my partner, a lot sooner because he's made everything better.
Oh, that's so sweet. Shout out to Daniel.
Yeah.
He is a good guy.
He is a good guy.
So what is one thing you want people to take away today, implement right away in their business, and it's going to help you to get to the next level?
The biggest thing in content would probably be, and the easiest, is to write a blog. Okay. Blogs are so powerful. They add content to your website, which helps with SEO, search engine optimization, helps you rise in the websites. You can use it in your newsletters. You can use it on social media. You only have to work once and you have 3 to 5 applications for it.
Wow.
And most attorneys are good writers. So that's something you can do yourself.
Perfect. And I am a blog loser. I actually put it in my calendar every Friday. There's time slotted for a blog. It hasn't been written in like a year.
Oh no.
So I need help there. So I'll take that away. That's my takeaway. All right. Last but not least, how can our guests find you?
Well, the best way is probably by phone or email. As you mentioned before, my website is iq-communications.com. Put an Amanda @ in the front of that, and that's my email address. And then my phone number is 480-518-4462.
Thank you, Amanda.
You're welcome.
I appreciate you being here. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Share the Love. Make sure to give us a thumbs up, share, and subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube, and Google Play to get the latest content.